What if I told you that there is a place where investors are pouring billions of dollars into startups and it's not Silicon Valley?
Building the technology.
And this place is where I'm from. I'm Isa, and I've spent the last 4 years creating videos about new ideas in tech in Arabic. Now, it's time for English. You see, I'm from a place everyone thinks they get, but they don't. My family is from Kuwait, but I was born and raised in the heart of the United Arab Emirates. When you think of the Gulf, I bet I know what you're thinking. That's we're all super rich, drive expensive sports cars, and we're really conservative. Trust me, I've heard all these stereotypes. But here's what most people are missing. This region is facing some of the world's biggest challenges. A rapidly growing young population that needs a future, an urgent need to create wealth that doesn't come from the oil industry, and probably the biggest one of all, building sustainable cities that can thrive in one of the world's harshest climates. But here's the thing, these challenges, they're also becoming our biggest opportunities. This guy just turned 30, and I'm serious about expanding my business in the region. I've been lucky enough to connect with millions of followers across social media and work with some of the world's biggest brands and companies. That's exactly why I wanted to do this show, to share what I'm learning with you. Because when I travel through the Gulf, I keep finding stories and possibilities that most people don't see. From the AI and robotics labs in Abu Dhabi, to sustainable farming and water solutions in Saudi, to urban tech, changing how entire countries are built. We'll show you what they really mean for entrepreneurs, mapping out where the opportunities are hiding, and how to spot them. This is the Gulf you don't know, and this is Gulfonomics. So let's start with something concrete, my home. Growing up in the Gulf, I thought I knew how things worked. I went to Canada to study and I was impressed by their modern economy. But then I came back to Dubai and I realized it was even better and on a bigger scale. The city is booming. More than 400,000 people moved to Dubai since the COVID pandemic. Many of them bankers and financiers. Just look at those brand new skyscrapers and hotels. They're not just buildings, they're proof of how fast things can change here. Then there's Abu Dhabi, the capital city. They built something different, mixing AI, finance, and tech in really interesting ways. Behind all of this is something called sovereign wealth funds. Think of funds like the country's investment arms. They've got serious cash and can literally create entire industries. You'll hear about them a lot. But here's what makes the UAE different. They're not just building individual projects. It's all part of a plan to attract foreign investment. In 2024, Microsoft dropped $1.5 billion into G42, an AI company from the UAE. BlackRock, the investment giant, just opened its first Middle East hub in Dubai. When firms managing trillions are moving in, they're following the money. And so should you. The ambition is out of this world. In 2021, the UAE became the 5th country to reach Mars. Think about that. Within 5 years, they put the spacecraft into Mars orbit. Now, they're building the region's first space economic zone in Abu Dhabi. I'm talking about companies working on everything from satellites to space tourism. And you know what gets me? A decade ago, none of this seemed possible. And that applies not just to the UAE, but the entire Gulf. And Saudi Arabia is a big part of it. I come here a lot, and every time it hits me. This isn't the Saudi I knew 5 years ago. The country's been investing more than $2 trillion in shifting its economy away from oil. But I want to dig deeper. In 2019, startup funding in Saudi was just getting started. Now, they're raising $1.38 billion in a single year. Behind this transformation is the Public Investment Fund, or PIF, managing assets over $925 billion. Through Vision 2030, they're building for what comes next. They're putting $100 billion into AI data centers and infrastructure and promising to power AI with greener energy. But here's what caught my attention. They've brought in Google and Nvidia to help build it. At the same time, they're training their own engineers and researchers and building new cities with giga projects, like Neom. Now let's zoom out and look at the big picture. I was in Qatar for the World Cup and I got to see Messi make history. Crazy moment. But I also saw a place transform right in front of us. New metro lines everywhere. Tourism's more than doubled. And the country is positioning itself as an education hub. Oman is turning its natural landscape into something different. They're transforming their vast deserts and coastline into green energy hubs, committing $140 billion to renewable energy projects, including one of the world's largest green hydrogen projects. The smallest country in the Gulf, Bahrain, is punching above its weight in finance. Their regulatory sandbox lets fintech companies experiment in real time. Think about it like this. In most places, testing a new financial product takes years. Here, you can do it in months. That's why we're seeing companies from Singapore to Silicon Valley starting here. Then there's Kuwait, a place close to my heart. Growing up Kuwaiti, I always heard stories about it being the cultural heart of the Gulf. Coming back now, the place has a different vibe and a wave of successful content creators. And I'm proud to be one of them. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yes, we have challenges. Talent is a big one. Finding experienced developers and tech leads, that's still difficult. Then there's the reality of the market. Yes, there are 400 million people in the region, but it's fragmented. What works in Dubai might need a complete rethink for Doha. Banking and financial infrastructure is getting better, but moving money between countries, setting up business accounts, handling cross-border payments, these are real hurdles that founders face every day. And when it's 45 degrees outside, testing outdoor delivery robots or solar panels is a completely different game. When companies solve these problems here, they open up global markets. And that's what makes this moment so important. You're not just watching countries develop, you're seeing a region reinvent itself. And I'm not here to sell the Gulf to you. I'm here to show you what's happening beyond the headlines and what it can mean for you. The good, the challenging, and the unexpected. And if we break some stereotypes along the way, well, that's just a bonus. Follow me on Gulfonomics if you want to be a part of this future.